Hey guys, it's Tim with the Disciples. Just wanted to showcase a deck that I think a lot of people have been expecting. I got third place in the weekend just gone at the Brotherhood 1K1 day, and I think not a lot of people have been showing off the post-bowed version of this. I don't think people have been going into this deck with the right mindset, so I thought I'd just show off some of my my thoughts on the deck and hopefully maybe convince some of you to see things the way I do, at least. So getting into it, 3 Torn Scales. This is not new. This is the only, well, it's not the only normal summon, but it's the main normal summon I play. I'm not playing Tour Guide, which I'll get into a little bit later. This does everything you need it to. You discard a card from your hand to send a Phantom Knight card to the grave. It special summons itself from the grave. If you see this, if you open this, you're generally going to do really well on that turn, even if you get hand trapped. Boots. This is the Extender Phantom Knight. It will special summon itself out of the hand if you control a Phantom Knight's monster, and it also lets you add a Phantom Knight's spell or trap from your deck to your hand if you banish it. Most of the time you're using it to summon a rank 3, detach it, banish it, add a Fog Blade, continue, or link to. You're always going to go through this on the combo as well. This will always be used even more so than Torn Scales is, so you do always want to see this. That's why we're playing 3. 2 Cloak. We're not playing 3 of this. 3 is way too much. We are playing 7 normal summons, not including extenders. Cloak is your searcher of the deck. It banishes itself from the grave to add any Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand. This does not include Fog Blade and Wings, just because of the way they are titled, but it adds everything else, and that's more than enough. The other effect that people don't really know of that much, or use that much, even if they do know it, is the effect when it's in attack position. You can switch it to defense. It will boost a monster, a dark monster on your side of the field, until your opponent's end phase, your opponent's next end phase. This triggers Dagda, this effect. It also makes Bardiche so sticky. It makes it 2,900. 2,100 is super easy to beat over. 2,900, sure, it gets beat over by Blue Eyes, but a lot of other stuff doesn't beat over it. Very, very useful effect, and as I said, it triggers Dagda. The reason I'm playing 2 of this is because if you're not using Levier on your first turn to bring this back and have it in the grave, you need to have the second one. You need to have the second one for the follow-up turn. If you are using Levier, then you won't need it, of course. Levier can bring back any level 4 or lower from the banished zone. But if you're not using it, if you're trying to hold on to that resource, then you will need the second one. Sending it off Bardiche, sending it off Gloves, and whatever it might be. I think 3 is unnecessary, and 1 is just not enough. We've got Ragged Gloves and Stained Greaves. Both are one-ofs. Gloves doesn't really need much of an introduction. He sends a guy, any PK card to the grave. If you need an extender, it's going to be a trap. If you need a monster search, it's going to be Cloak. Generally, those are the only real 2 options. Everything else is kind of not necessary. Stained Greaves is a 4th copy of... it's a 4th copy of Boots. In the event that you need to start your combo by normal summoning a PK, and then special summoning your Boots to get to Cherubini, this guy's your next best friend. He will special summon himself if a Phantom Knight's monster is special summoned to your side of the field, which is almost the same. It's Boots with a kind of restriction, which is more than enough. The other effect in Grave can come up if you are pushing through boards, as if you lose the die roll. When you're going second, but it doesn't come up too often. Generally I use him to just kind of substitute for Boots. I feel like he is necessary, but you don't have to play him if you find it's not coming up for you. With PK monsters, usually they're on BA monsters not far after them, and in this case it is the Seer and Graf. Graf summons from the deck, Seer summons from the graveyard. Seer will always be summoning Cherubini. This is generally what you're sending off Cherubini. I don't think I ever found myself sending anything else off Cherubini. Cherubini can end up sending Torn Scales or Cloak, whichever one you don't already have in grave, if you manage to open one of these somehow. But I also found in testing that you cannot full combo to the standard board with 2 monsters, that is using 2 level 3s to get to Bardiche and DPE and Verte. You cannot get to this board without having these 2 if you open 2 level 3s that are not Cloak or Torn Scales, which is why you have to play them. They'll probably be cut when we have the Brave tokens, but for now, they're here. They're here to stay, at least. The reason I'm not playing Tour Guide, I actually mentioned earlier, is the reason I would never play Rescue Cat in Tri-Brigade. I think having to use your normal summon is so important in today's metagame for decks like these. And committing your normal summon to something that is just always going to get hand-trapped. Like, if you're normal summoning Tour Guide and they don't have a hand-trap in hand, normal summoning it also almost feels like they just randomly, like, it just magics into their hand and then they'll just use it and you just sit there and it's like, oh, I guess I can't do anything now. Really, really tragic. Tour Guide is a very win more card in my opinion. If I'm using my normal summon, I'm always using my normal summon to push through cards, not to bait out cards. There is a very slight difference between those two, and the more you play with this deck, the more you might realize what I'm talking about. But I just don't think Tour Guide is the one. If I could be playing Tour Guide, I could literally just have drawn another board breaker, or I could have drawn a hand trap if I decide to switch those, or I could have drawn an extender. Like, it could literally just be a 5th card instead of being something that is going to magnet, attract all of the hand traps in the universe. Extenders, I did speak a lot about these. We're playing 2 dangers, wielder, tracker, and 2 junk forward. You'll notice a very key absentee is Kagemucha Knight. I'm not playing Kagemucha Knight, I'm instead playing junk forward. Tracker and wielder are psychics, they get summoned off E-Tele. They special summon themselves from the hand if you control a level 3. They're amazing. Honestly, the 2 best extenders in the deck. Danger, Tsuchinoko, and Jackalope actually come out as the 2 worst extenders in the deck, because they're so RNG based. Being able to normal summon Torn Scales and discard one of these for the cost is really, really nice, of course. And the chance that you can reveal one of these in hand, special summon it by discarding another card, and then drawing into a card that might end up changing the game for you is really, really nice. But at the end of the day, they are just level 3 extenders. So that's what they're here for. Jump forward. I know a lot of people have been saying Kagemucha Knight is like the premier option, but as I've kind of alluded to, I don't want to use my normal summon until I absolutely have to. So this is the card that kind of lets me do that. Being able to special summon junk forward, for example, and then just special summon wielder, special summon Tsuchinoko, E-Tele for something. Just having these 2 monsters on the board to make the full combo without having to use normal summon. For example, if you open Seer or Graf, having the normal summon there is so nice. Something I didn't mention actually when I was speaking about Seer and Graf is their ability to special themselves out of the hand. Of course you don't get the second effect, but just managing to summon themselves without using your normal summon under Cherubini, for example, is super nice if you get hand trapped. So junk forward kind of fulfills that extra, just, I don't need to use my normal summon until absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, this only summons itself on empty boards, so I'm only playing 2. The fact that Kagemucha Knight is a dark has not yet come up. I'm always using junk forward as one of the first link materials anyways. Also, this is 900 attack. This beats over IP and Hieratic Seals. While I've not yet been able to use this interaction, in theory, if you attack over Hieratic Seals, then they use Hieratic Seals Affected Tribute and bounce a monster. They bounce this back to your hand, you just special summon it back again in main phase 2 and continue. Which is why I think this is just a lot better, honestly. Again, the other option could be Gillosaurus. I haven't really looked into that. But I think they're basically very similar. The one thing I think junk forward has over Gillosaurus is a dinosaur, and this can be searched off reinforcement of the army. Finally, the Destiny Hero cards. These are the only 2 true bricks of the deck. Every other card in this deck can be used to combo, or provide extra interrupts. These are the only 2 cards that don't let you do that. Dasher's better than Plasma because you can special summon Dasher if your DPE gets banished. You don't want to be special summoning Celestial because his effect to banish 2, to draw 2, has to be used on a turn it's not sent to grave. So Dasher is better. Its effect to summon in the draw phase is not really that relevant, honestly. It hasn't come up where that has been a difference maker. But I think it's better than Plasma. Celestial, this is the reason why your turn 3 is so explosive. I will always just throw up my hand onto the board, use everything I can to push as far as I can, and then turn 3, I draw a card, use it for whatever. Celestial, draw 2 PK monsters, and like 1 to 2 PK monsters in grave. Suddenly I have like 3 to 4 cards in hand, on top of stuff in my, like Fog Blades, Bardiche if it survived, DPE if it comes back. It's just, this package, the Destiny Fusion package, is insane. Finally, for the monsters, Artifact Scythe. This deck that I've built revolves around being able to Scythe Lock as its ultimate win condition. I think being able to Scythe Lock in this meta is absolutely insane. It's definitely, by far and away, the best win condition. Even like rogue decks are using their extra deck so much. I think the only deck that I've seen that doesn't use his extra deck at all is Floowandereeze. But like Floowandereeze is stopped by a Fog Blade anyways, so it's not really an issue. Yeah, like Scythe stops the Mirror, it stops Bird, it stops... Even Eldritch can't make Zeus under Scythe for like its follow-up, like its interruption, so... Very good card. And the fact that you can set this off Dagda and summon it back off Dagda is just so broken. But we'll come back to that later. This is usually getting popped by DPE, I'll just say that much. Into spells. 3 Fusion Destiny. This card is pricey for a super, and for good reason. The fact that you don't have to play around the fact, like Red Eyes Fusion, that you can draw it and activate it at the end of your turn, without any sort of restrictions like Red Eyes Fusion, where that card says you cannot normal summon or special summon for the whole turn regardless. This card is the whole reason why we're playing so many, like, we're playing the 2D hero monsters, we're playing Verte, we're playing Scythe. This just enables all of that. You hard draw this, it means that you just don't need to make Verte. It means you can make IP, it means you can make Apollo, it means you can make Dagda with fewer resources. It's drawing this is not an issue at all. 2 E-tellies. This is just extra extenders. I think it comes out to 8 total extenders, not including like stuff like rotor. Even if you draw this with 2 of your psychic monsters, it doesn't matter at all. You just end up using it for like Torn Scales or something. On top of that, you can also send it off droplets, which we'll see later. Very, very versatile card, plays around anti-spell, all that stuff. I'm not playing Ghost Ogre. I know a lot of people, every time they see E-Telly, myself included, they just suddenly think, oh, I can play a single copy of Ghost Ogre. You can, but I don't think it does anything, so... I don't think it does anything into this meta, so that's why it's not in the deck. We are 2 Psychic Monsters and 2 E-Tellies it's a fine number. You're generally only going to see like 1 copy of this or the tracker, so more than enough. Rotor, we're playing Warrior deck. This is, if you didn't put this in like as like the 2nd or 3rd card, or even the 1st one, when you saw you were playing Phantom Knights, you need to go see a doctor. Call by the Grave. This card is absolutely bonkers. I think this card is at 1 for good reason. I feel like it should be banned. It's really, really strong at just stopping effects going off. Like, I know it says banish a monster in the grave, but it stops effects everywhere. If your opponent had to use a card in like their turn 1, and then you call by the grave on their turn 3, it means they can't use it for the next like turn 3 and 4. Even not expecting hand traps in the tournament, this card was absolutely insane. Like, it's just so strong, and it stops Scythe. I think I nearly forgot to mention that it stops Scythe, which is very, very important. Talent. These next 6 cards, or 2 copies of playsets, are basically my flex spots. I was playing like versatile board breakers. This could have been Dark Ruler, but my theory behind this was that it's much better going first, and even going second is really insane. And this did not disappoint. The effect to draw 2, Pot of Greed. The effect to take control of a monster, Change of Heart. The effect to look at your opponent's hand and shuffle 1 back into the deck. Delinquent Duo. Like, it's just insane. This card is absolutely insane. I honestly, yeah, I just don't think I would take it out. Droplets. I think everyone by now kind of understands that this format has, at least at the very beginning, been very based around this card's interaction into boards. I was expecting to see a lot of this, and my deck actually plays a lot of ways to stop droplets from completely blowing me out of the water. But this card in the deck is also just as good. This card lets me send Verte, it lets me send Fog Blades that have already been used to like stop effects and are no longer useful. I can send like E-Tellies that I didn't use, or if I have used it, send it in the same chain. This card is nuts. Yeah, I think every time I saw this, I used it to great effect. One of the games that I did lose, I lost because I didn't realize that this sending Dark Ruler kind of stops Hot Red from negating Dark Ruler. So that was my mistake. This card is absolutely nuts. If you're playing board breakers and you're not playing this card, well, it is expensive, so I understand that, but this card is nuts, guys. Finally, for the trap lineup, We're playing Phantom Knights. We're playing our effect negation, our protection, our extenders. Fogblade. Even if you hard open this, you can just set them. If you need to use it off Torn Scales, you can discard this, send a monster, banish it to summon the monster. This is spot negation, it stops Alistair, it stops all sorts of stuff, and in a real pinch, you can use it to stop people from attacking into you for game if you control a monster. This card is play 3. You will generally end up having 1 to 2 on your board and using 1 for combo. So 3 is always necessary. When I was referencing droplets earlier, make sure that you know if your opponent hasn't discarded a trap for droplets, you can chain this. You can chain this, target any monster on your field, and then just use anything else, which makes this deck surprisingly resilient to stuff like droplet because it's always ending on a trap. In the same sort of extender interruption sort of vein, Phantom Knight's Wing. This is a card I see not a lot of people playing, although I think a lot of people are still considering it. Lets you play around stuff like Lightning Storm. Most of the time you're just sending it to grave to banish and use it as an extender or a way to summon Breaksword to a Bardiche Zone to pop. Surprisingly good this one is. I was playing just the Fogblades for a while, but this extra card, having it there as an option is just really, really nice. And as always, opening the traps is never really an issue. You'll never see like more than 1 or 2 traps in your hand. If you do, you can set 1, discard 1 off the Torn Scales. It's an extender, honestly. Shade Brigandine, all of your traps except 1 will get rid of itself from the grave, which means this is almost always live. This is 9 times out of 10 being used to... you're searching it to make the second link 2 in your combo. The first link 2 being... So you're making Bardiche, Dagda, Verte. This is generally going to be used to make Verte or Dagda, whichever one you haven't already made. It can also be searched off Cloak, which can come up in very, very volatile sort of game states. You have to play Shade Brigandine. Like, the fact that it's level 4 is obviously a downside, but it really does make up for the fact that it's a level 4. Like, everything else, if this was a level 3, this would just... It could end up being a 3 of, like, this card is really, really good, aside from the fact it's level 4. Finally, my final trap, Imperial Order. It stops Droplet, it stops Dark Ruler. Good card. Yeah, this usually wins a game when it's flipped. It's a strong card, it's in the card pool, you might as well play it. That's it for the main deck. Nice round 40. So we're going to go into the extra deck real quick. DPE. Card is busted. I mean, you saw the whole Fusion Destiny package. It's weaker than Dragoon in a vacuum. When you factor in everything else, this is miles better. It gives you resources for your turn 3. It's a pop. It activates Scythe. It can use a Fogblade that you've already used to turn it the same way Droplets functions. It can turn it into an extender for your next turn. Absolutely nuts. This is what makes like the deck. This really shot the deck from being kind of tier 1.5 into tier 2 almost into tier 1. We've got rank 3s, Levier, 2 Breaksword. Levier can be used in your turn 1 combo. Basically, you're using Levier to get back a banished PK monster. Something I do like to do a lot is summon the Levier, using any 2 rank level 3s. Summon back Ancient Cloak. Make a Dagda with this and another monster, not the Ancient Cloak. And then trigger Dagda by using the Ancient Cloak and switching it to defense. You can also just, if you somehow have enough resources, you can just keep him on board and hope he survives until the next turn. And if you manage to do that, then, I mean, they're not really winning, are they? You've got 2 monsters, you've got Fog Blades, you've got Draw 2, Search, and the card you draw, like, this deck's turn 3 is insane. Breaksword is what lets you make the unbreakable Scythe lock. Well, I say unbreakable, it's breakable by like DD Crow, but very unlikely. Breaksword is usually what you're going to end up making when trying to pick apart boards. This also lets you go into Zeus, it lets you go into Link 2s with the 2 monsters, the 2 PK monsters it summons back. The only thing you need to watch out for is the fact that it locks you into Darks when you use its summon effect. But it doesn't matter, like, so much of this extra deck is Dark anyways. I was playing a rank 4 for Breaksword, and I really do regret doing this. I was playing Rhapsody and Berserk. So the theory does check out. If you use Breaksword's effect, targeting itself and DPE, then they will chain DPE, DPE popping itself and any other card. Even if they don't destroy the Breaksword, because the Breaksword itself is on the field, one of the targets is still available to be destroyed. It will destroy itself, bring 2 back, because they're level 4s, you overlay into Rhapsody and Berserk, and banish the DPE and the Dasher. In practice, this never comes up. If you're doing this, you could have just done a better play. This was probably my worst decision of the deck. This should be IP. I, for some reason, decided not to play IP because I don't know what came over me. Just play IP over this. Downard and Zeus. If you're not using Breaksword's effect, then you'll have 3 materials with Zeus, and that's a big no-no. So you just make it a nice round 4, and it gives you 2 field blow-ups instead of 1. Very self-explanatory. We're playing rank 3s. This card is nuts as well. Link Spider, first of the links. This is just for Shade Brigandine. If you're using Shade Brigandine to get into Verte, you need to go through this first, because Verte requires 2 effect monsters. Speaking of Verte, here he is. Requires 2 effect monsters. If you don't open your Fusion Destiny, here's how you're going to get to it. Dagda, we were playing Scythe. This, anytime you use a card or effect is activated on the field, the only thing that it doesn't let you chain this onto is stuff in the grave. So you can't use like Cloak effect and then chain Dagda, the Cloak effect to banish. The Cloak effect that you can use to use it is the effect to switch into defense, which I've already spoken about. The other effect of this, very sneaky effect, is if this Link Summon card is destroyed, you can summon an artifact monster in defense from your graveyard, which means that if someone Twin Twisters, or like gets rid of your Scythe, or even negates it after you summoned it with Breaksword and the Bardiche combo, then you can just DPE pop this and the Scythe. They'll both go to grave. Scythe will come back. Good job. We did it, Chief. The card is really good. Onto Combo Piece. This is the other Link 2 we're playing. I did mention this earlier. The whole deck is make Link. Make Cherubini. That's our goal, turn 1. If you can make Cherubini, generally you are going through the full combo. Of course, people will hold their... people will end up holding their interactions for Bardiche, but sometimes you can make Apollo before that. One interaction that not a lot of people know is if you just have a random spell that you might not be using, you can just set it, and if your opponent decides to, say you're playing into a board, like you're playing into a Swords or Blackout, you could set a card, summon this. If they try to destroy it before you use the effect, you can destroy any other card on your field, and this will survive. So it's very, very useful. Actually, it does come up, surprisingly. Cherubini is used to go into this. This guy needs no introduction. He's been banned before. He came back from jail. Bardiche is a very, very strong card. So much resource. If they've got Ash in Perm and decide not to use it on anything else, this is what they're waiting for. It's just so strong. It nets you so much advantage. Yeah, but you never really need more than one. And that really is, that doesn't change even when we're going into Brave Soul sort of format. Brave token, rather. The other Link 3 we're playing is Unicorn. This would have been much nicer if I was playing IP, but it still came up. The effect to spin something back, Unicorn, it's been a mainstay of most extra decks for a very long time. I don't really need to explain this one too much. Finally, we've got two Link 4s. Appaloosa. If you open a really, really nuts hand, you can go into Appaloosa before anything else and it protects your whole combo. If not, then you can still end up making it if you decide that you don't need Dagda or you don't need Verte. It's just a really good card. If you manage to end on IP as well, you can use IP and another Link 2 and make this for 2. Being able to make this into stuff like Drytron and Tri-Brigade, and Birds even, those decks really struggle pushing through an Apollo. Having 3 monster negates is what you're generally making. To push through Apollo is really, really difficult. And finally, Borrelsword. I'm not playing Access Code. Borrelsword is actually much better for OTKing itself, because Access Code, I'm not playing enough attributes in my links for Access Code to like banish multiple things. So Borrelsword is the angrier boy, really, really strong. I think the only thing that's left is a side deck. This is mostly sort of personal choices, how I looked at the meta for this particular tournament. So, of course, feel free to change. Droll. This is really good into Birds. It's really good into Drytron. It's alright going in. It's not amazing going into Sword or PK, but because of the way Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk is resolving, I think 3 adds to hands, 4 if you include Tenki, in most of their bird hands. This is just really, really good. We're playing one Pancratops. This and DPE makes your trap matchups really, really good. Pancratops is just an amazing one-off. Is again one of those cards that I just automatically put into every deck. Every side deck at least. Talking about trap matchups, they recently got a buff with the Heavenly Lord, the rock guy. I'm not really sure what he is, his name is, but he stops things from being destroyed, and Cyclone plays around that. Also, it plays around the fact that you can, it gets rid of Fog Blades, it gets rid of Blackout, it gets rid of just loads of stuff that would rather be in the grave, which is why I'm playing it over Twin Twisters. Another thing to note about Twin Twisters, it requires a discard, and I've actually found that I've never needed to discard anything I've always wanted the other 5 cards in my hand, so Cyclone was just a natural choice there. Finally, just playing this over Storm as well, because I think Quick Play was... I thought having Quick Play spell and trap removal is just... It's more versatile, and is also much more effective into continuous traps, such as Anti-Spell, which I'll come back to in a bit. Another board breaker, I'm playing this in the side over and Talents in the main, because Talents is better going first. This is completely dead going second, but this is also completely necessary playing into something like Birds. Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade can make 4 monster negates, 4 monsters that are interactions, and Droplets doesn't do enough because you need 2 cards to combo. So you need to have Dark Ruler in those hands. It's just an unfortunate thing. And finally, Duster. It's at 1. It's a good card. Sometimes you just want to blow up all the back row. Oh, might as well add Reboot there. I wasn't really sure what to put for like this kind of 15th spot. This last card here is a 3 of. I just put Reboot because I thought that I didn't have much for back row matchups, but it wasn't ever necessary. It could have literally been anything else. It could have been a single copy of Lancia to set off Dagda, honestly. Finally, 3 Judgment. I was always going to dedicate this last 3 of spot to a going first card. It could have been Anti-Spell. I was playing Anti-Spell for a very long time. But even if Anti-Spell locks a lot of people out, stuff like Prosperity, Desires, even Lightning Storm, stuff like that, my main reason for playing a going first card is to stop people stopping the Scythe lock, which means I'm stopping people from playing stuff like Evenly to break boards, or I'm stopping them from playing Chalice, or I'm stopping them from playing Droplets. Anti-Spell didn't solve that issue as well as Judgment did, so I decided if I'm just trying to stop 1 card, then I just need 1 negation. So in theory it works out better. In practice I've never actually drawn Judgment, so it hasn't actually mattered yet. But that is the theory for playing Anti-Spell. I think Anti-Spell is a really, really strong card going into this format, but I think it still depends on the deck. Yeah, so that's it for the deck profile. Let me know if there's any other questions you might have in the comment section. I hope everyone got more out of this, enough out of this at least. Has some good insights, managed to get some more information out of this. As always, shout out to the Brotherhood Games, best locals in London. If you're ever in town, make sure you drop by. Shout out to the Disciples. Well, I mean, if you're here, you already know us, right? Make sure you hit the subscribe button for more amazing content like this. If you hit the like button, maybe I'll get to do more of this content. They'll let me out of the basement to do more of these videos. And if you didn't like it, then I'm sorry. Anyways, I think that's it.
Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, as well as following all of our socials in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsors at the Brotherhood Games, Metamat and Card Pocket Down for high quality products and one of the best tournament organisers in the UK. Thanks for watching guys, and see you in the next video.